The ground trembles, not from an earthquake, not from a storm, from something alive. The air is thick, warm, heavy, saturated with the rot of ferns and the iron tang of standing water. Cycads crowd the floodplain, their waxy leaves catching the pale amber light filtering through a sky still bruised from yesterday's ash cloud. The smell of sulfur drifts from somewhere far to the west. This is a world where the ground itself cannot be trusted. And then a sound. Low, rhythmic, getting closer. Each impact sends a shockwave through the mud. Birds explode from the canopy. Something small, a marsupial, a lizard, vanishes beneath a root because it knows. Every creature that survives in this world knows the same instinct. When the ground moves like that, you run. 66 million years ago, Western North America. A vast, shallow inland sea, the Western Interior Seaway, still cuts this continent in two, its brackish shoreline only beginning to retreat. The land east of the Rockies is a ribbon of floodplain, swamp and dense subtropical forest. The humidity alone would suffocate a modern human within hours. This is the Hell Creek Formation. Science, named not for its climate but for the creek in Montana where the first fossils were found in 1902, and the name fits. The late Cretaceous period is ending. Volcanic activity in what will become India is already pumping carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Global temperatures are swinging wildly. Science, sea levels are dropping. The world is already under stress before the asteroid ever arrives. But here, now, in the last chapter of the Age of Dinosaurs, it is still a world of giants. And two of the greatest are on a collision course. It steps into the open. 13 meters long, 6 tunes, the height of a double-decker bus at its hips, and yet it moves with a fluid, rolling economy. Not clumsy, not thunderous, but deliberate, like something that has never needed to hurry, because nothing has ever escaped it. Tyrannosaurus Rex, the tyrant lizard king. Science. Those famous tiny arms, they were anything but useless. Each one could bench press roughly 200 kilograms, likely used to grip prey at close quarters during a kill. But the arms were never the weapon. The skull was the weapon. 60 teeth, each one the size and shape of a railroad spike, serrated along both edges and rooted deep into a jaw that could generate science. Up to 8,000 pounds of bite force per square inch, the most powerful bite of any terrestrial animal ever measured. It didn't just bite through flesh, it bit through bone and ate the marrow. Science. Recent evidence suggests T-Rex had lips, soft tissue that covered its teeth at rest, much like a modern Komodo dragon. It didn't walk around with its jaws perpetually grinning. It revealed its weapons only when it needed them. And right now, it needs them. Because it hasn't eaten in 11 days. And its binocular vision, science, with depth perception 3 times sharper than a modern eagle's, has locked on to something ahead. It begins as stillness. The tyrannosaur freezes, 1 foot raised. Its nostrils flare. Science. T-Rex had an olfactory bulb proportionally larger than almost any other predator, living or extinct. It could smell blood from miles away. And right now, it smells something close. The first step is slow. Then the second. Then it commits.
40 kilometers per hour. The ground shakes.
Its tail counterbalances like a gyroscope, keeping 6 tunes perfectly centered through each stride. Trees blur. The flat plain becomes a corridor, and from the tree line ahead, something moves. Something enormous. Something that turns to face it, and the hunter stops. Because what it's facing doesn't run. 9 meters long, 9 tons. Heavier than the predator it now faces, Triceratops horridus, 3-horned face, That frill, the great bony shield arcing behind its skull, is not just armor. Science. Studies of frill bone microstructure reveal rich networks of blood vessels, suggesting the frill flushed with color during threat displays, during mating season, possibly even during fear. It was a billboard, a status flag, a warning.
And those 3 horns, not decoration. The 2 brow horns alone could reach a meter in length.
Science. Fossilized T-Rex bones have been found with Triceratops horn puncture wounds. These animals fought, and the horned one sometimes won. Triceratops moved in small groups, not a true herd animal, but not solitary either. They fed low to the ground, those powerful beaks and batteries of cheek teeth processing the toughest vegetation the Cretaceous had to offer. Science. A single adult could consume hundreds of kilograms of plant matter daily. They were living bulldozers, slow, powerful, and when cornered, catastrophically dangerous. This one didn't run when the Tyrannosaur charged. This one turned. What happens next defies scale. The Tyrannosaur lunges, jaws open. The Triceratops drops its head. Horn meets skull.
The impact is seismic. Both animals stagger.
The T-Rex reels. One horn has raked across its jaw, leaving a gash that pours dark blood across the fern beds below. The Triceratops pivots with surprising speed, driving a second charge, those brow horns aimed at the predator's flank. The Tyrannosaur twists. It takes the blow on its shoulder. Science. Healed bite marks and horn wounds found on both T-Rex and Triceratops fossils confirm these weren't one-sided ambushes. They were fights, prolonged, brutal, and sometimes survived by both. The T-Rex backs off, not because it is afraid, because it is calculated.
A healthy Triceratops facing forward is almost unkillable. The neck frill absorbs blows that would decapitate a smaller animal, and those horns can disembowel a 6-ton predator in a single thrust. The Tyrannosaur locked in an arms race that had produced the most spectacular predator and the most formidable prey animal the land would ever see. They were the pinnacle, and they never knew the clock was running. Now, a question for you in the comments. If you could witness just one prehistoric encounter, any moment in Earth's history, what would it be? Drop it below. The floodplain is never empty. While the giants circle in the tree line, something else moves through the shallows of the nearby river bend. Low to the ground, armored, moving with the unhurried confidence of something that has decided it cannot be killed. Ankylosaurus manavendras, 8 meters long, 6 tons of living tank. Every centimeter of its back, neck and flanks covered in science osteoderms. Bony plates fuse directly into the skin, some as large as a dinner plate, arranged like overlapping shields. Not even T-Rex's bite force could reliably penetrate that armor from above. But the weapon that made paleontologists gasp when they first modeled it, the tail club, a mass of fused bone, roughly the size and weight of a bowling ball, swung on a tail reinforced with locked vertebrae that acted like a rigid lever. Science biomechanical studies suggest a full-speed tail club strike could shatter the lower leg bones of a tyrannosaur, and fossil evidence of fractured ankylosaur tail clubs confirms they were used, not just displayed. It passes through the shallows without a sound. Whatever battle is unfolding in the trees, the armored one wants no part of it. Wisdom, it turns out, is also a survival strategy. When the asteroid arrived, it did not simply kill. It rewrote the rules.
Science.
The impact released energy equivalent to 1 billion atomic bombs, igniting wildfires across continents, throwing enough debris and sulfur into the upper atmosphere to block sunlight for years. Global temperatures plummeted, photosynthesis collapsed. The food chains that had sustained megafauna for 165 million years simply stopped. 3/4 of all species on Earth went extinct within a geological instant. The non-avian dinosaurs, every last one, vanished. T-Rex, Triceratops, Ankylosaurus, all of them gone.
Not because they were weak, not because they failed. They were the most sophisticated animals their ecosystem had ever produced. They fell because the rules of their world changed overnight, and no amount of armor, horns, or bone-crushing jaws could adapt fast enough to a sky that had simply gone dark. Science. What survived were small, burrowing, insect-eating, able to withstand cold and darkness on meager calories. Mammals. Birds, the avian dinosaurs, technically speaking, who carry in their hollow bones the last living echo of everything we have seen today. The giants lost to a rock. But the story didn't end. It transformed. There is a bird outside your window right now, perhaps a sparrow, a crow, a pigeon, making its absurd way across a city street. That bird, that small, warm, feathered thing, carries in its lineage a direct, unbroken line of descent from the animals we have watched today, from the tyrannosaurs, from the creatures that made the ground shake. Science. Birds are not the descendants of dinosaurs. Birds are dinosaurs, avian theropods, reclassified by modern science, the only branch of that great tree that bent instead of breaking when the sky fell. And in the Hell Creek Rock, in the ancient stone of Montana and Wyoming and the Dakotas, they are still there. T-Rex, Triceratops, Ankylosaurus, locked in the earth like a memory the planet refused to let go of. Scientists pull them out of the ground piece by piece, clean them with brushes and dental picks in quiet laboratories, and slowly, slowly, they speak again. They tell us what they ate, how fast they moved, whether they had feathers, whether they cared for their young, whether they felt pain. They were not monsters. They were animals. Animals who lived and fought and bled and survived for millions of years in a world we can barely imagine. They were extraordinary. And somewhere, 66 million years ago, on a floodplain that would one day become Montana, two of the greatest animals that ever lived stood 20 paces apart in the fading ember light, and the earth held its breath. We will never know who won that day, but we know they were both magnificent. If you made it this far, you are exactly the kind of person this channel is built for. Subscribe and tell us in the comments, T-Rex or Triceratops, who wins that fight? Let's settle it.